Leads us to our good friend David Schultz from Westlight Images and his trusted canine companion Coda, who is blissed out here on the floor. David, always good to have you.
Get her to calm down.
Yeah, I can see she's very, very hyper. Of course, I'm sure if we sent a squirrel across, she'd be halfway across the room.
Say bird, and she's out.
Yes, exactly. Now you have been busy. These last few months. You have been north and south and east and west and all points seemingly in between. You've got a big...
think about that. Yeah, east and west.
You got a big show coming up with a whole set of new images.
Yes, on Friday evening we're doing a release of several new shots from my most recent trip, which was 5 weeks in Greece and then Portugal.
Oh, so, terrible. How unfortunate for you.
I was hoping to come back to warm weather, and I came back, and the day I was coming up the canyon, it was a blizzard. And I thought, God, I left this stuff 5 weeks ago. It was supposed to be gone, but...
see, I told you at the top of the show, no more complaining about the weather. Because now the heat is here, and we're ready for that. So, talk about what you were looking for in Greece and Portugal. Do you go to a place like that with something in mind? You've scouted it out in the past, or you've heard stories, and you sort of have an idea of what you want to do before you get there?
A little bit. Greece I had an interest in many years ago, and then just kind of completely went off the radar. And through Facebook, actually, a tour company there contacted me about possibly doing some photo workshops, either there or here, so they wanted to meet me. So they brought me out. They do these guided trips up in an area called the Zagoria region, which is a national park up in that area. Old villages, some of the shots that you'll see here, they were all grandfathered into this national park. And so I did a bunch of research about that prior to going, had some ideas of certain areas I wanted to see. And rather than seeing a bunch of the Greek islands, I decided to just spend my time on the island of Santorini.
Oh, my favorite.
That's what I kept hearing in the images that I saw. And also on Facebook, I'd run into some images I saw on somebody's page on Portugal, the boats of Portugal. And I thought, well, we've got lots of mountains here and all of that kind of scenery, and I really don't have much of an opportunity to photograph the nautical type things. So when I went to Portugal, that's what I concentrated on.
Now, when you go to these places, I mean, there's almost everyone, it seems, who's been to Santorini or been to Greece has taken the photos of the whitewashed walls, the blue roofs, and the water flowing. Yes. How do you, as a professional, go in? I mean, and professional photographers have taken thousands and thousands of images of these places.
Certainly. How
do you find something new that hasn't already been shot? How do you find a new angle or a new twist?
Well, not knowing exactly what I would find in the northern part where I started, I kind of started concentrating on the doors and windows because it's a little bit difficult when you're trying to photograph these old villages and then you see in the distance there's a satellite dish sticking out or something odd like that. So these doors were so interesting that it just kind of evolved into the same thing when I went to Santorini. And anybody that's seen my work knows that I'm kind of known for the real vivid colors that I capture. And I mean, that's just a mecca for bright colors, besides the, like you said, the blue domes and the white. So I just kind of tried to find interesting lighting, which is, to me, just number one when it comes to photography, capturing interesting lighting or capturing the scene in the appropriate light to bring out what you're trying to capture, those vivid colors. And then there were things like, I made so many friends with dogs in Santorini. I mean, I'm doing the wrong theme, I think, this week, because nobody's up at 6 o'clock in Greece. I'm finding, the dogs were all over the place and just following me around. So I got a lot of cute shots of the dogs hanging out in front of these doorways or up on window ledges and such, and cats. But what I just really kind of concentrated on finding those more detailed shots. I've got the obligatory blue domes of the churches and the windmill and sunsets and such, but it's the other thing that I found out too, and I've known this for a long time, sun goes down and everybody disappears. They've seen the sunset. Well, your best light sometimes is, maybe 15, 20 minutes after the sun has gone down, and that's when, the skies will just really light up and you get a little bit nicer light in the foreground and you can kind of see those details.
It must be nice, when you're in the Greek Isles and you're shooting, for probably early in the morning to get that morning, sunrise, morning light, and then, at sunset, well, then you have to take a nap in the middle of the day, right? To recover from those early mornings and late on into the evenings. Right?
Yeah, definitely. There was it's 3 o'clock. Go crash for about a half an hour.
It's always good. Now, the flip side of spending all this time in basking in the sun of the Greek Isles is your time that you spend down in the frigid waters of the Antarctic, shooting ice floes and penguins,
leopard seals, and quite a range of subject. The last 5 years I've spent a lot of time in both the Arctic and then down in Antarctica. And just prior to going to Greece and Portugal, I spent another 5 weeks in Antarctica again. It was my first time down there this time of year, and so it was a little bit different. And still cold, still plenty of snow. But yeah, I've had 7 trips to Antarctica now, and it just, each trip you just see something a little different. The ice is areas where we had the ship this time. The last time I was down there, we were walking on the ice and helicoptering over it to get to the emperor penguin colonies. And so to just see it, 3 months difference, and
the ice is shifted and
the ice is gone. You still have the big icebergs and that, but and then the Arctic last September, I spent 4 weeks again up in the Canadian Arctic, up in the Northwest Passage, and then over to Greenland. And there in Greenland again, the bright colors, the doorways in the little Inuit villages, or not Inuit, the indigenous people. Bright colors.
Now, when you're shooting in these, extreme environments like the Arctic or the Antarctic, there have to be some technical issues, battery life, and how do you adjust all those little teeny knobs and buttons on your camera in a big, thick, gloved hand. How have you now that you've made 7 trips down there, have you solved some of those problems?
Yeah, like you, I grew up in Michigan, and so that's a no-brainer. You just have no problems.
You just have no feeling.
You have no feeling,
anymore.
and after age 15, after skiing.
Sure.
No. Windstopper material, that's just number one. But you just you've always got extra batteries tucked away. Batteries I haven't had a whole lot of problems with. You just get tired of carrying all the extra gear. People say, oh, it's great with digital, you don't have to carry the film now. And it's like, yeah, but I got 3 external drives, I got all these power cords, all these chargers, a laptop, and so, I got 90 pounds of gear, that I'm carrying down.
Now, you mentioned that when you were going over to Europe, you were going to sort of lead some photographic seminars and classes. That's one of the things that you do locally as well. You help people, find their own inner David Schultz, if you will.
Yeah, at all levels, and I really enjoy this. What I offer are private classes, and they're really one-on-one. They can be in the gallery, just a 2-hour session, and I've helped people literally, with what camera do I buy? You find out what the budget are, what they're going to photograph. Is it soccer games or is it mountains, landscapes and such? And so they're not wasting money buying equipment that some salesperson is getting a commission off of to sell them the biggest lens or whatever, to setting it up, to digital editing, because again, people don't understand sometimes that the whole printing process is the second part of photography. It's not just, oh, I've got it in the camera, hit print, and that's it.
It may look great on your screen, but
Yeah.
you need to do a few things to tweak it before it prints out right to hang it up on the wall.
And I teach people how to capture all of that information so that when they do go to print it, they can bring out all of the details that are maybe in the, the snow or the ice, and how to get your color balance right. But the big trick with photography is getting all of your highlights and all of your shadows, getting all that information recorded, and then in the darkroom process, whether you're talking a wet darkroom, working with chemistry, or a digital darkroom, it's making that print look the best when it's on the wall, and I can go into that. I also do, typically, when we can get into the back roads, short, 3-4 hour back road photo tours, and that's again for all skill levels. Just take a few people, 1 or up to 3 or so, into the mountains, some of my favorite haunts, and let them trek around and give them photo tips.
And they get to bringing your dog along. Sometimes can be a bonus. Sometimes maybe not so much, especially if you occasionally run into a moose.
The moose, yeah, she's very good. I've got her trained with a whistle, and we've been a team, I guess, for 10 years now, so I can kind of pick up on her body language, and if it's all of a sudden looking somewhere, and it's like,
ooh, point the camera over there, because there's probably some moose, elk, or other critter. David, thank you so much for coming in.
Pleasure.
You're going to be doing a talk about some of these works.
Yes, Friday night, Windows and Doors of Greece. We've got Greek music. We've got the Christokis band, some Greek music coming in. A little bouzouki. We've got some food. My assistant is her mother, they're Greek, and cooking up some stuff. So, and I will be doing a drawing for a free photography class.
Oh, fantastic.
So come in, drop your name, and if we call you, then get 2-hour class.
Fantastic. David Schultz, Coda, thank you guys both so much for coming in. Oh, she's dreaming of something
dreaming,
right
chasing
now.
birds.
Maybe chasing birds right now. We have got a whole lot more to come, including a look at your weekend weather right after this.